Welcome back to the training. I want to start today by giving you the assignment that I'm going to assign to you at the end of this module. And it's very simply, you're going to be asked to post on your favorite social media platform to make an announcement that you are going to be starting a physical products brand. That's going to be your assignment at the end of today's lesson. Now, there's a couple of reasons for this assignment. This assignment, first of all, is going to keep you accountable because by you making the announcement, you are much more likely to follow through when you know that other people are watching. But that is not the primary reason why we are going to do this assignment. The primary reason why we're going to announce to the world, or at least to our world, that we're going to be building a physical products brand is because our personal network is going to serve as the foundation for our core group of raving fans and customers. Throughout this training, we have covered what it takes to build $1 million brand. We have started to narrow in on our person, and hopefully we've started, at very least, we've got an idea of what our first product is going to be. In order to make that successful, the way that we can really stick the landing, the way that we can really ensure that we're successful right out of the gate is by having a core group of raving people ready to buy our product even before our product exists. You see, most of the time, the fear around building a physical products brand is, well, what if it doesn't sell? I gotta choose that first product. I gotta make it absolutely perfect or else no one's gonna buy it. I'm gonna run out of money. I'm gonna be poor forever. Well, we can solve that pretty quickly if we've got a few hundred or even a few thousand people ready to buy our product before it's even ready to be purchased. If we can do that, well, building $1 million business is going to be super easy, right? And if those same few hundred people are going to buy product 2 and 3 and 4 and 5, well, you can see why we've had a hand in hundreds of $1 million businesses. Well, we can start that process today. You don't even need to know what your first product is going to be. You don't need to have your first product ready to go to market. You don't need to have a website. You don't even need to have your brand name picked out yet. All you got to do is announce what you are doing. And we have started the snowball to building $1 million business. When I was in college, I had a professor. His name was Dr. Millage. And Dr. Millage was seen as an authority on the idea of a business concept called product diffusion theory. Product diffusion theory was put out like a bell curve. You could envision a bell curve for a minute in which at the beginning of the bell curve, you have what are called early adopters. Early adopters was that core group of raving fans that chose your product before everybody else thought it was cool. Yeah, I was an early adopter for the iPod. I was one of the, those first people that was buying the iPod. And guess what? That was my gateway into all things Apple. Now I have an iPhone. Now I have several MacBooks. I buy all things Apple because my gateway product was the iPod. And I was one of the early adopters. I went to school with my MacBook in college and saw the other people with MacBooks. I was like, hey, man, a nice computer. Now everybody has MacBooks, right? Well, it wasn't that case back when I was in college. I won't tell you how many years ago. Anyway, the early adopters was that core group, that small group of people who would buy you before it was cool to buy from you. It was the early adopters that got the next group in the bell curve to buy from a brand. And then you had they had the big surge up in the bell curve, and then you had your late movers and the old people who would probably never own a computer, but then eventually they buy an Apple, right? So product diffusion theory is just like a bell curve. What entrepreneurs mistake is that they think they have to go after the big market before they get the early adopters. And I'm here to tell you that that's wrong. Your job as a new business, as a new brand, is to go get the early adopters, to go get people excited about your brand. It doesn't matter if you don't know how your product is going to get made. It doesn't matter if you don't know what your third product is going to be. It doesn't matter if you don't know what your logo is going to be. Your job right now is to start building up excitement for your $1 million brand. You've decided to start a brand for CrossFitters or for moms or for parents or for fitness enthusiasts. That's who your brand is for, and that's what you're going to announce. The reason for this is because if we start to grease the wheels for our early adopters, it's going to make the release of our business much faster and easier. So, if you post on your personal Facebook page that you've decided to go on this journey, there's a good chance that 25 of your friends and family are going to start following the rest of this journey. And just like our customer is on a journey, is on a life cycle to lose weight or be a parent or whatever their journey is, you are on a journey. You are the hero in a story of building a successful business. It's a rite of passage, and there are people who want to cheer you on, and they will get in line to buy products from you for the only reason that it is you and it is your mission, and they want to support it. Those are going to be our early adopters. Now, in the rest of this module, what we're going to lay out is how we line it up so that the day that we go live, we have customers ready to buy from us. And if we can do that, our 7-figure business, our $1 million brand is going to happen way faster than we could ever expect. I have to convince people most of the time that their product is going to sell. But as soon as that product is live, the bigger problem is keeping inventory, because what we talk about in this section just works. If you've got people lined up ready to buy, it will move the rest of the bell curve faster so that you have those 25 sales per day on that first product. And let me tell you a quick story. When I launched my yoga brand with my business partner, Sean, back in 2014, or maybe it was 2013, I don't remember. Anywho, we ordered our product from to be made, our first yoga mat to be made. We were really excited about it, but it was going to take 2 months to manufacture and sit on a boat somewhere while it was on its way to the warehouse. And we'll cover some of that training later, but we just looked at each other and said, well, what are we going to do for 2 months? And I said to him, I said, Sean, I think it's our job for the next 2 months to simply be ready to take an order on day one. I want to have a flood of people coming our way when our product is live and ready to be ordered. And that's what we have to do. That's what you've got to do. You've got to prepare now to have people ready to buy from you, even if your product doesn't launch for a long time. If we start announcing it now, we will have people lined up and ready to purchase from us. And that is going to give you the momentum to have a really successful business, a dramatically fast-growing business. Now, if we fast forward just a little bit, the way that you are going to launch your business is going to be taking an order on one of 3 places. You're either going to take your order on Amazon, you're going to take it on Kickstarter, or you're going to take an order on your own website. My recommendation for this training is going to be that you start on Amazon or Kickstarter. Here's why. When we take an order on a channel like Kickstarter or Amazon, 1 sale really equals 5. Here's what I mean. Those 2 websites are driven by algorithms. The more momentum a product has, the more momentum a product gets. So if you have 1,000 people ready to buy from you, the day that your product is live on Kickstarter, guess what happens? Your product starts to rank and show up all over the place on Kickstarter. Why don't you guess what that does? It exposes you to a whole lot of new people. And when you're exposed to a whole lot of new people, it gets exposed to more people and more people. If we look at it like Amazon.com, if you've got a product for sale on Amazon and you get 1,000 sales in a day, guess what Amazon does? It starts to market your products for you. It starts to help you show up for other keywords. It starts to advertise you around the internet. Guess what that does? It brings more customers your way, and the snowball keeps on going. So, the earlier we start to line up our early adopters, the higher the chances that we're going to get a lot of free exposure on sites like Kickstarter and Amazon.com. So, if we use something like Kickstarter, we can start taking sales for something that doesn't even exist yet, because we're basically receiving deposits for a product so that we can go build and buy inventory for that product. Do you know, as I sit here recording to you today, I bought a product on Kickstarter 18 months ago that I still have not received. But guess what? Every month they send out a newsletter saying where they are in the product development process, and it's almost like you're following along the story. And the people who are following along the story start to buy into the overall journey. That's what we want for you. We want people buying into your journey, into your story. So when the doors open, we are ready to take orders. Now, if you use a site like Kickstarter.com, where you can launch anything you want, you can have payments and money coming in right now without us even having the product ready to be delivered. We can take that money and we can invest it into inventory so that we can roll out that first order, that second order, and then launch on Amazon to give us a big spike up in additional orders. Most of my students decide to bypass that process and go straight for Amazon.com because that gives them a whole lot of consistent momentum in sales. You can do either one or do them in any order that you want. The important thing right now is that by the time we go live on either one, we've got a lineup of customers who are ready to purchase from us. The first thing that we're going to do is post on our own personal Facebook page and ask for recommendations of where you could get plugged in to a group of buyers that are passionate about whatever market you're serving. Now, social media is changing all the time. So there's different groups, organizations, and websites that are going to be relevant at any point. If you're listening to this in the year 2045, the internet probably looks a little bit different now. But the same theory applies, that we want to go to where the fish are already congregating so we can drop our bait into the pond. For example, I launched my yoga products business on the back of a Facebook page. Now, this was back when Facebook pages were relevant, but what my buddy Sean and I did was we built up a little tiny Facebook page called I Love Yoga. And we spent about $10 a day running advertisements just to get people to like the page I Love Yoga. So anybody who liked that page was obviously a yoga fan. Well, what do people who love yoga buy? They buy yoga mats, yoga blocks, yoga towels, yoga videos, our products. So the day that it came ready to be available for sale, we had thousands of people lined up ready to buy from us. And that really helped sales. You know what else it did? It had people with buy-in to our product. They were following the journey. So they were willing to pay a premium price for our product versus just buying any old yoga mat. They didn't want any old yoga mat. They wanted our yoga mat. This is the foundation to having a successful launch. This is the foundation for having momentum as soon as we are available for sale. If we skip this process, we're going to have a very hard time getting the momentum that we will need in order to scale a profitable business. But if we have this pool of buyers, even if it's only 100 people, it really moves the needle. Now, I do a separate training that is called Profitable Product Launches. It's all about building the audience and advertising your products to hungry groups of audiences that want to buy from you the day that you are ready to be purchased. But in that training, I had one insight that was particularly impactful for my students, and it was this. Our goal is to have 1,000 followers, 10 personal friends, and 1 influencer. If we have that, we have the foundation for a very successful launch. Now, here's what I mean. Most of us are on Facebook or Instagram or some other social network, right? And most of us have at least a few hundred, quote, friends or followers. Those are people who see our posts when we make them. Whether we're having a bad day or ranting about politics, there's a few hundred people who will see what we are up to in our lives. That's a good starting point. Our own personal Facebook or Instagram or some other social network can be a great starting place for us to build up a little audience. Now, if we start posting about a specific topic, other people who are interested in that topic will inevitably find us. For example, when I started my podcast, which was all about building businesses and investing the profits, the more I talked about it, the more other people talked about me. And the more other people talked about me, the more I got invited onto other shows. And the more I got invited onto other shows, the more people that followed me. And the cycle perpetuated. That's the case with you. Now, I am not encouraging you to be an expert in yoga or muscle building or parenting or whatever market you're serving. But I am encouraging you to start documenting the process of building your business, of talking about exactly why you are building the business that you are building, about talking about the pain point that you are attempting to solve, about the person that you are attempting to serve, about the pain points they run into on their journey. The more you talk about that, the more you document why you chose this product feature over a different product feature, the more people start to follow along in the overall business journey and they will want to buy from you. And whether you do that on Instagram or you do it on a website or a blog or a podcast, you start documenting the process. Even if it's only on your own personal social media page, you will have an audience of people ready to buy from you on day one. I'll tell you a quick story. I have a student, her name is Sophie. She runs a company called Seed and Sprout. It's a waste-free company. So they sell reusable bags and they sell reusable containers. And what she did, she had one product. It was a lunchbox. And she had a personal Facebook page. And all she did was launch her Kickstarter on her personal Facebook page and say, this is my business. This is why I started it. Here's what I'm up to. And she started talking about it with her personal friend group. And then she went to one group on Facebook that was also in the same space and said, hey, here's what I'm doing. Can you please get the word out about my Instagram or my Kickstarter? And they shared it. And guess what happened? She pre-sold $25,000 worth of her first product, which was plenty enough capital to be able to scale this business. That business is now a multi-million-dollar brand. All thanks to that little momentum she got from her personal Facebook page. What we're after is 10 personal friends, 1,000 followers, and 1 influencer. And here's what I mean by that. 10 personal friends. Chances are that we know 10 people who would be super fans of the business that we're starting. So if you're selling essential oils, for example, and that's your brand, you probably have 10 friends who are really into essential oils, right? You could probably think of 10 right off the bat, 10 ideal people who are personal friends or family members of yours who would be really excited about the business that you were starting. Your job is to get those 10 people really excited about your business. You tell them, here's what I've decided to do. You tell them, here's why I'm deciding to do it. Here's where I want to go with this. Here's the person I want to serve. If you get 10 of your personal friends excited, let's say that they have 500 friends on Facebook each. That's 5,000 people who will be seeing a conversation about your business. Our next job is to have 1,000 people follow our journey. That might be 1,000 Instagram followers. Or my personal favorite, 1,000 people on an email list or a Facebook group. Those are my favorite ways, because if we make a post or we send an email to 1,000 people, they all see it and they're all part of a community. Now, the way we build that up, the way we do that is by going to other people who are talking about that topic and we participate in the conversation. We go to forums or social networks or LinkedIn groups or Facebook groups, and we simply enter into the conversation that's already being had about yoga or essential oils or parenting. Gary Vaynerchuk calls this the $1.98 approach, I think, where you add your 2 cents 100 times a day or 99 times a day. You add your 2 cents into a conversation. And as a result of doing that, over time, you gather thousands of followers. So if you're on Instagram and you're documenting the build out of your essential oils company, here's why we used this supplier versus this supplier. Here's why we decided to do an orange essential oil as our first product. And our second product is going to be a peppermint oil. I'm just making this up, but as you document that on an Instagram page or a Facebook page or a Facebook group, and you start going to other Facebook pages, Facebook groups, Instagram pages, Snapchat accounts, and you start adding your 2 cents on the conversation, you start to get a couple of those followers. And as you continue to document the journey, you start to build up momentum of people who are buying into the direction of your business. Now, we only need a few hundred people to be really bought into the journey of our company in order for us to be able to hit the ground running the day that our product is live, and that will change everything. If we've got a product for sale for $25 and we get 200 people to buy on day one when it's available on Kickstarter, not only do we get $5,000 of pre-sales, but we also get the bump on Kickstarter from all of the people who didn't know we existed, but they see all this momentum on a listing. Or if we get that many sales on Amazon and Amazon kicks up the Amazon marketing machine, guess what happens? Other people start to see us and they start to purchase from us. And now we have thousands of dollars in purchases before we even know it. That's what we're after. So my favorite way to do this is to build up a Facebook group or an email list. And you can look on YouTube about how to start either one. But the reason I like those is because people start to buy into kind of the journey and the mission. And all we have to do is talk to our community and document the build out of this business. If you have no idea what to do here, you can document the whole thing on your personal Facebook page or whatever social media account you have. I would recommend that you start a business page or a business Instagram or some way for people to follow your business and to buy into the overall direction of your business. So they're not only buying into you, but they're also buying into the brand and the business. So if you could do nothing else, document the build out of your company on your personal social media channel and also have a business channel in which you are doing the same thing, similar content, and you're contributing to the audience. You are adding your 2 cents and getting followers, a few every day, until you have 1,000 followers and 10 personal friends who are really excited about what you're doing. When you've got that, when you've got 1,000 people following you and you've got 10 contacts and personal contacts who represent who your target market is. For example, that person who loves essential oils, who already buys essential oils, when they start testing yours, when your product is ready and they're talking about it on their personal social media pages, guess what happens? All their followers see it and they see that as a recommendation for your business and your brand. So we've got our 1,000 and we've got our 10 personal contacts talking about it. Our next job is to start looking at influencers in the space who have about 10,000 followers. Now, there is on YouTube or Instagram or wherever audiences are being built at the time of this listening, there are people who are basically micro influencers. And we want to get one micro influencer to buy into our vision, our business, our product. Now, you might want to wait until your product is chosen and well mapped out for you to really start to open up these conversations. But if we start asking micro influencers if we can send them free product, one free product just to get their feedback, and we send that to 10 people, and one of them says yes and one of them likes the product, we have more than enough to do a lot of damage. Our personal following of 1,000 people, our 10 personal friends, and our one influencer, having that lined up on the day that our product goes live is all we need to have that product splash to 25 sales a day. And guess what we're going to do then? That's when we start thinking about product number 2, product number 3, and product number 4. And that's how we're going to have a $1 million business. So eventually we're going to make the decision. Are we launching on Kickstarter or are we launching on Amazon? I'm going to suggest that unless you are starting with no money, no capital at all, and no audience at all, I'm going to suggest that you go straight over to Amazon.com. But for some people who are bootstrapping this business, they want to develop some capital, and so they want to start on Kickstarter. That's totally fine. There are complete trainings all about launching a product on Kickstarter, and they're great. But we can skip that process if we have a few $1,000s in order to scale this business. If not, again, just like my student Sophie raised about $25,000 just using her own personal following on Kickstarter, it can be a great place to get that initial momentum and build an audience. But if we can go straight to Amazon, sometimes we can scale the business a little bit faster. Not all the time, but sometimes. So if we've got that core audience and we send them to either Kickstarter or Amazon, it gives us this huge surge of momentum in which we're going to rank for keywords and show up in front of new audiences. We're going to start to pick up press. And now it's like, how do we keep up with all this momentum? Like, how do we keep inventory in stock? That becomes a bigger problem than, is this product going to sell? So that's why this foundational piece is so important. If we just go live with the product, we can often launch to crickets. But if we have any sort of following at all, it gives us a huge spike up. I'll tell you a quick story. I have a friend who is a medical doctor, and he is also a bit of a biohacker. So he is always posting on Facebook about like new research, and it's cool. Like, I love to follow his journey. And his name is Steve, and Steve once posted on Facebook, he's like, hey, I want to develop this supplement. It's going to cost me about $10,000 to develop, but it's going to do this, and it's going to do this, and it's going to do this. It'll be good for this. It'll be good for that. And he said, would anybody like to pre-order it? And he had a bunch of people say, yes, I want it. These are all just personal friends of his that know his expertise. Well, guess what he did then? He just posted a link to order the product before it was even live. And it was I want to say it was like a $300 a month supplement, because he had to go formulate it and do a bunch of research and all of this. And he said, I'll only do this if 30 people pre-order it. Well, guess what? 30 people pre-ordered it. He didn't have bottles. He didn't have a name. He didn't have a logo. He didn't have nothing. But he sold $300 worth of supplements to 30 people. That's $10,000 in pre-orders that gave him the capital. Not only the capital, but the personal stories, the transformations, the case studies, the reviews that would be necessary to scale the business from there. You see, so often we think we've got to go to thousands of people in order to have a really successful business. But we need a very small group of early adopters who are excited about our business and our brand, who will spread the message and take it to everyone else. That's that diffusion curve in action. So our job is to line up those early adopters so that when we go live, we've got the momentum of sales and we've got the people who are passionate about what we're doing so that we can follow up with them for reviews, follow up with them for case studies, follow up with them with testimonials. That is going to give us the firepower and the momentum to continue to scale this business. To paint a little picture for you, the way that this is going to work out is if we've got a small following and we start to take sales, we can go back to that small following and say, hey, what'd you like about the product? What didn't you like about the product? Would you leave me a review? And then we can take that review and we can advertise that to the rest of our followers who didn't buy. And guess what that's going to do? It's going to bring in more people who buy our product, more people who are excited about it. We're going to share that on social media. And then we're going to have somebody else who comes in and is like, I loved the product too. And we're going to take that one and we're going to run it to our audience. And we're going to continue to build this snowball that will continue to build and build and build until we have a 7-figure business. It doesn't require that you have 1 million followers. It requires you to have about 1,000 followers, maybe less. 10 personal friends who will give you their feedback and share about it on their own social media pages. And if we want to be perfect, 1 micro influencer with about 10,000 followers. That's more than enough for us to be able to spread this thing. Even if we don't have our first product ready yet, we can start documenting the journey, talking about the vision for the company as we start to do the rest of the work that's going to be necessary throughout this training to develop the product, launch the product, and carry that momentum to give us that 7-figure business. So, as promised, your assignment is this. Post on your own personal social media page. Whatever you use the most, you say, I have decided to embark upon the journey of starting a business. My business is a physical products brand that serves this person. And then you talk about the products that you've decided to develop. That's going to give you the accountability. It's going to give you the exposure. And it's going to give you the momentum that you need today in order to carry the rest of this training out. And in a few months from now, you're going to look back on this and you're going to see all the momentum that comes out of that post and the post that will come to follow as you've got customers and momentum building your $1 million brand. Go do that assignment and I'll see you in the next part of the training.